Half it again, and hello, it's Fo, and welcome back to Magic Monday. Today we're going to have a look at doing a draft. It's not going to be a phantom draft, so we get to keep the cards that we pick up in the draft in. We've got a few different choices. We're going to play a league event rather than a Swiss event. We're going to go with the single game draft league. This one doesn't reward us with packs from the set like most of the others. It rewards us with play points. So we get to play a potential 10 games. If we win 7 of these games, we get the maximum reward, which is 120 play points. It costs 12 tickets or 120 play points to enter. If we get I'm going to enter here with 12 event tickets. As you can see, we've tried this once before, and we didn't come out too successfully. So we don't have the play points to enter it with just play points. But if we win, say 5 matches, then we'll get enough play points back to play in a standard league. And of course we'll still have all the cards that we've drafted. So while we wait for the queue to fill up, we'll go and have a look and see which cards we should be looking out for. If we open up a Google search and we type in the best cards for drafting in Rivals of Ixilan, because that's the set that we're drafting, we'll be able to find a few links. Just pick the first link here. And this is an article by Luis Scott Vargas. I generally trust his opinions. So these are the cards that we should be looking out for. If we see them, we should just grab them. A lot of removal. Profane Procession is great. Chupacabra is great. Trapjaw Tyrant would be great in a dinosaur deck if you manage to draft the enraged dinosaurs. So that might be something we might want to do. Bishop of Binding, again creature removal on a creature. It's generally what the suggestion is. There are a few creatures that have built-in removal and we should grab them. Just for the value. Golta seems great. Fits well in a green deck, or green and red, or green, red and white dinosaurs. Crested Herd Caller as well, we've seen is great. Jade Light Ranger, I'd love to pick one of those up. And there are a few merfolk here. Merfolk Tribal is obviously going to be strong. If we get the cards to draft Merfolk Tribal or Dinosaur Tribal, then we should definitely go with it. And black removal, Merfolk, and dinosaurs. A couple of pirates. Don't think pirates are as strong a tribe as merfolk or dinosaurs. But again, it'll really depend on the cards that we see. And the Forerunners. And the Lords. Both very powerful, so. So if we see these cards, these are the things we should be on the lookout for that are going to help us play through draft. So as we saw in the new player drafts, we get to pick one card and pass it on. Usually we'll go with the rare card if it seems playable, and then the uncommon cards. These generally are the most powerful. There'll be some that are of no use to you in draft and you'd rather pick up a common or an uncommon from the pack. And it is situational. Sakama, Primal Calamity, a 9/9 Vigilance, Reach, Trample. I think if we pick that up, we'll be trying to play it. So we don't really want to draft 3 color decks, we want to stick to 2 colors. We generally want creatures, hopefully evasive creatures with fly-in or trample. Some way to make them unblockable. So our first pack, the rare is a creature. It does kind of put us into Merfolk. There does seem to be plenty of Merfolk about. Could also take the Crested Herd Collar. We know that gives us good value. I think we generally want to take the rare. It's double blue. Then the Herd Collar is double green, so we do want to keep ourselves open, but neither of the artifacts here seem that good. Gleaming Barrier, just a defender. I think we want to take a decent creature. So we'll pick the Oracle. See if we can get some Merfolk in pack 2. And there's a rare still in the pack. And it's Sakama. Wow. Well, I really want to take Sakama and try and play it. I think for the video this is what we should do. Should be our dream. Try and cast Sakama. So we could go into the dinosaur deck. 3 colored dinosaurs. Or we could go with the Merfolk. I think the Merfolk is more powerful, but then it's going to be hard to double splash red and white. Unless we find some way of fixing our mana. We're going looking for lands. So we could get Traveler's Amulet here to help us with our plan of splashing. Help us with our dream. We could pick Crescent Tide, which has synergies with the Merfolk. Or we could pick Dinosaur, which is still green, so it's still playable in our deck. If we don't get enough Merfolk to make an entirely Merfolk deck. And if we end up having to go into dinosaurs and abandoning the Merfolk plan, it still works in our deck, so this green non-common dinosaur doesn't impress me that much. If we take Hunt the Weak, because blue and green don't have any removal to take care of our opponent's creatures directly, Hunt the Weak does that. We do want to take more Merfolk if we're going with that plan, but if we take Hunt the Weaks, then we're leaving ourselves open. Like here, there are no Merfolk, which suggests maybe dinosaurs are more open. People aren't picking them. And we've now passed on a couple of blue Merfolk, a couple of green Merfolk. Could be the case that one of the other people drafting in our pod are picking up those Merfolk and making that deck. And now we get a couple of Merfolk back, which makes me think maybe they aren't. We haven't got any more blue merfolk, and we will want to cast this double blue oracle, so we should take more blue to make it worth it. Here we could take the relic or naturalize. Don't think any of the white cards. Could try and get a white flying dinosaur to go with our dinosaurs, but I think these relics are a safer pick, because either which way we could add them in if we don't have enough cards to make up our deck. Guess we take the merfolk. If we see enough merfolk, maybe we can make an entirely merfolk deck. Maybe we'll get rewarded if we can find the enchantment for Deep Root Waters. Maybe we want to play these relics, maybe we don't. Here we could take the rare, but I don't think I'd even want to play that in a constructed situation. Doesn't seem particularly useful to me. Guess we take the dinosaur just in case. We get some amazing dinosaur rewards. Don't have any white cards that make us, want to play more white for Sakama. I'll take a white card. Naturalize is a good sideboard card in case our opponent has enchantments. There are plenty of enchantments and artifacts we'd probably want to get rid of. And we get a lovely mountain. So at least if we do want to splash Sakama, then we can add the mountain to our deck. Here are rare Golden Guardian, Knight the Stampede. If we want to go dinosaurs, get Sakama out early. There is a merfolk, but maybe we just want to take the rare. If we do want to bide some time to get to play Sakama, might want to hold our opponents off with a Golden Guardian, and it can flip and make guardians for us, artifact golem creatures. Well, we've got a couple of things here. We could take Water Knot, because we've only got 2 Hunt the Weeks to deal with our opponent's creatures. Could take the Sailor Remains. Sailor Remains does create treasure, and the treasure can get us 1 mana of any colour. So we could splash Sakama if we're able to make multiple treasures. That could be a way to splash Sakama. Get the unblockable Forerunner. That does reward us for having Merfolk. Maybe the Merfolk deck is coming together here. A couple of choices. Could just try and get in there quick with lots of little Merfolk. And because they can't be blocked, when we do get our Oracle out, we'll be able to draw cards. Again, we could take Traveler's Amulet to help us splash. But maybe we just need the Sailor Remains. And 1 mountain and 1 plains. Maybe we want 2 Sailor Remains if we want to splash. But I don't think we're going to need the Traveler's Amulet. Maybe we want it. Maybe we want the negate if we're going to play blue. Combat trick seems good. We don't have any other combat tricks. Like we do need to find a way of dealing with our opponent's creatures. This has a send. Helps us draw extra cards. It's a rare. Or we could take an uncommon merfolk. This does seem good. I don't know if enchantments are where we want to be, but I guess we take the creature. We do want to play about 15 creatures. Hopefully we're going to find some more merfolk. Well, I don't think we're going to play any of these things. Guess we take sea legs because it's on color. Plummet is maybe a good sideboard card, just in case we come up against big flying creatures. Just in case we want to go white to play Sakama. I think at this point we're beyond the dinosaurs, but take this because maybe we could potentially play it, but I don't think so. Again, it's on color, we should probably take this. We don't need to take land, so we'll take this. There we go, we're going to go into the last packet. Hopefully we're going to find a couple more merfolk. So we've got a foil rare merfolk shaman. And it can turn a land into a creature, which does give us value. There's no other cards. We don't want this, I don't think. Some Birds of Vacation. It's good for playing a lot of high casting cost cards, but I don't think we want that over a merfolk. It's more on color. This would maybe help us. I think it would only help us when we got to the point of casting Zakama. That would then give us a free spell. Grove of the Mighty also helps us ramp. I think we're going to be so low to the ground that we can just take the merfolk. Tempest Caller is a merfolk. Deeproot Warrior also. Tempest Caller can help us when we're board stalled and no one's attacking. We can tap down their entire defending army and get right in. Our merfolk deck is coming together. Don't even think we need the Golden Guardian at this point. So we've got a 2-drop blue merfolk or a 2-drop green merfolk. Can't see us taking Axis of Mortality. I don't even know if we really want to splash Sakama at this point. We'll have to see. So I'll take the 2-drop. And here we get a rare merfolk that we can't pass up. We're obviously going to take this. We'd love a Deeproot Waters. That would be perfect for us. Maybe a couple more unblockable merfolk. Just for the evasion so we can get through. And maybe even another Hunt the Weak or something like that. To get rid of our opponent's creatures. We've got a merfolk. Water Trap Weaver. We've got a merfolk that we can use as a mana sink. can pay 4 repeatedly to put a counter on the jungle delver. Both seem fine options. Depends how low to the ground we want to go. Try to get in there quick with the delver. Wow, Deep Root Waters. Snap pick. We're doing it. All we'd really like to see is a Merfolk Lord. And then our deck's going to be pretty strong contender. Wow. A rare dinosaur getting past this late. And it's the same splash colours. What are our options? Well, we do have a hexproof Merfolk that we really should take. We're up to 13 creatures. Commune's playable. Maybe we just take this. Just keep our dreams alive and cast in something stupid that we really have no business casting. I think we've got enough green and blue cards here to make a sensible deck. And then if we want to be crazy, we also have the cards to splash. Be fairly fabulous if we can make a Merfolk deck splashing Zakama. And win with it. That's the important bit. How reliably we'll be able to cast it. Prime Blade is an equipment that makes treasure. That seems an efficient way of making treasures repeatedly. So maybe we wouldn't need the Sailor of Dreams, Sailor of Memes, in order to keep our meme dreams alive. Maybe just use the Prime Blade there. Christian Canopy I like better than Plummet. It's worth the extra mana for also being able to kill a creature with flying. Blossom Dryad seems okay. It's castable, it's not a Merfolk, but never mind. Diviner is not a Merfolk either, but never mind. Sure, we can have a massive dinosaur for the sideboard. Okay, we'll take this. Get Swamp anyway. Then we're going to be into the deck building section. So we've got as much time as we want to decide on what we want our deck to be. We don't get sideboarding in between games because it's only single games that we're playing against our opponents. We're not going to be playing the same deck twice. Well, playing against the same deck twice. It's just a case of playing. If you can win 7 games in a row, great, you only play 7 games. But you can play up to 10 games because you're allowed 3 losses in the process. If you lose your first 3 games, then you have to win every game thereafter, the next 7 in a row, to stay in the tournament and get the top prize. As soon as you hit your 4th loss, you're out. So it does get quite intense when you've lost 3 games and you're playing for your life, your tournament life as it were. So looking at this, I think this is only good if we have a deck full of dinosaurs. We can find Zakama off it, but it means we could potentially be stuck with both in our opening hand, and that would just be the worst. We don't really want to even see Zakama in our opening hand. But if we have the Prime Blade, I think We maybe need the Sailor Memes and the Prime Blade if we want to do it. But it means we're going to have to cut out a few cards. We only need 15 creatures. If we just run 7 non-lands, then we can maybe do 16 creatures. As I say, we've got plenty of time to think about this. Unlike the Swiss style, where you're only facing the people who you drafted against, drafted in the same pod with. In a league style, much like the standard leagues, you're just playing with people who are also part of the league that want a game as and when they're available, as and when you're available. And it just does the matchmaking at the time. So we could draft against anyone who's drafted their cards in the last however long, and so you could be up against any sort of deck, and it won't be against the people. You won't see the cards that you passed being played against you, whereas in the Swiss, that's exactly what would happen. You would see cards that you'd pass to your opponent and think, wow, I wish I hadn't passed that. Like when we cast Sakama, and the person who opens Sakama and still passed it on to us thinking I'll never be able to cast that. Then we can hit them with Sakama and they'll be gutted about it. They didn't try to live the meme dream and cast Sakama in a deck that had no business casting it. I like the foiling on these cards. Don't know how useful this is going to be though. We don't really want to lose lands if we're going to be on the path to casting Sakama. Definitely don't need this. Maybe if we look at it without Sakama and see what it looks like just as a Merfolk deck. Because we do need to shave a few cards. But Sakama seems so good if you can get it into play. You can use the ability straight away. Maybe gain some life and destroy one of your opponent's creatures and destroy an artifact or enchantment all in one turn. If you can do all of the abilities. Well, that's fairly late game plan. Obviously in the early game we've got our little army of Merfolk to at least chump block and keep the game going long enough till we can cast Sakama, if that's what it comes to. Don't think Aggressive Urge is that good. Don't think it's going to make the cut. I think we do want the Sailor of Dreams and the Prime Blade, but we'll see what it's like without it. I do like the Overgrown Armasaur. Not sure I would keep it in the all Merfolk build. Like if we took out these relics, because I don't think we'd really need them. Certainly wouldn't need them in the Merfolk build. That'd be exactly 23. Which would give us a space for our regulation 17 land. So if we wanted to take in Sakama, we'd probably need to take in the Sailor Remains. And then would we want the relics? Probably don't need the Golden Guardian. So we could take out the Golden Guardian for Zakama. And then try and keep the meme dream alive. I think having fun with your build is equally as important as winning. And we do get play points back even if we only win a couple of games. And we have 3 losses. We could play it with 1 relic to gain some life, but we don't have much to ramp up into. Other than our walker. Guess we could play naturalize, which might be important because we don't get an opportunity to sideboard. If our opponent is playing all artifacts or enchantments, or you know, there's something we desperately wish we'd kept naturalize in for, we'll be kicking ourselves. If we want to live the dream, we'll have to take something out, so we can put in the Sailor of Dreams, the Sailor Means, and Zakama. Maybe we take out the Dryad, just because we don't get full value Merfolk synergy with him, because he's not a Merfolk. That puts us to 21. So we could try and live the dream. We'll probably lose, and we probably won't be able to get out Zakama, and we'll probably be ruining an otherwise good plan with the Sailor of Dreams, but I think we should go for it. What's the worst that can happen? We have it in our opening hand every turn with no land and feel punished. Sure, we'll still have fun. Sailor remains in. Keep our dreams alive. Louis Scott Vargas, you know, said that we should play Zakama if we opened it. I believe in him. If we can pull it off, you know, he'll be proud of us. So we play it like this. We've even got the mountain in the plains. It's a sign. We should put in 1 of each, and then we can rely on the treasure created by both the Sailor and the Prime Blade if we don't get our mountain or our plains. We can use the treasure to cast Zakama. It's maybe a crazy plan, but it'll be lots of fun if we can pull it off. So we just need to add some basic lands into our deck. I think we want to run it like this. We could hide some cards in our sideboard, but I don't think we need to, because we're not going to be playing with a sideboard, so they'll all essentially be hidden. We do have the option in between games to change our deck, which is essentially the same as sort of sideboarding. If 1 card is constantly underperforming. I think maybe we do want more blue than green in our split. So we've got 17 land altogether and 23 non-land cards. 17 creatures, so it's a little bit creature heavy. These early creatures, I think, will be able to get in for a few damage before our opponent's able to put up any defenses. And even when they get the defenses up, hopefully a Mistbender with a... not a Mistbender, a Miscloaked Herald with a Prime Blade equipped to it, we'll be able to generate us a few treasures. And then we can live the dream by casting Zakama. Yep, I think this is what we want to do. I can't see anything, even with a sorted sideboard. We didn't have enough dinosaurs to go with the dinosaur plan. I think the merfolk plan is fairly strong with deep root waters. So if we can find deep root waters or Zakama, we'll be laughing. And hopefully if we can get down our pack one pick one oracle, then we can draw our way into the deep root waters and the Zakama and just take the game over. We'll go in and play the first match, and then I'll split up the video. People playing in the league. We got matched up fairly quickly, almost instantaneously. This is only one other person. They've been waiting for ages for us to click play. Okay, here we go. Okay, what's that about? We're gonna go into 2 matches at once. Gotta get lucky. Yeah, we won the die roll. It's gonna help us on the way to Zakama. So we've got 2 land. They're both blue. We do have the prime blade. We do have a double blue rare. Let's turn on prime blade. Because it's only a single game, you only get 12 minutes to play. Thankfully we draw a forest and get the jungle delver. Equip cost is 2, unfortunately. Otherwise we could equip it straight away. Then next turn attack in with it, make a treasure. Pirate for our opponent. So I guess we can put a counter on the jungle delver. The mystic here. Could get out Kapala. If our opponent's playing red, they're probably gonna have red burn spells to target our creatures. So Kapala is maybe a good defense. Prime blade only gives +1 to attack, so we want a bigger butt of a creature like the mystic. Guess we play the mystic first. Gives us blocks. And a better target for equipping our prime blade if that's what we want to do next turn, rather than Kapala. Offer up a trade. They're not going for it. So it could be mono red, I don't know. Mutiny, It's a little bit of a disaster. Just gonna take out one of our creatures. Yes, maybe our Mystic will have to stay back on defense. If we'd cast Kapala, the Mutiny would have cost our opponent all their mana. Here we can try and build up a better defense. Get 2 for 1. Guess we do keep the Mystic back on defense rather than trying to be aggressive still. We do have Hunt the Wink now as well, so if we get a 4th land, then we can Hunt the Weak. So we've kept our opponent off of their raid trigger, which I like. Here's our 4th land. So now we've got options. We can play any of the cards in our hand. Probably want to get rid of this while we can, because it's a mana sink later. Or maybe a first strike creature. That's if we want to Hunt the Weak. Our attacks aren't that great anyway. We could Brainstorm. Let's do that. Let's get a body out, then order our next draws. We've got the Oracle, so we can decide what we're drawing next turn. So if we put these back on top of our library. Get out the unblockable creature, then the Oracle, or we just slam out the Oracle straight away. No, I think we want to get a good attacker out. It's always going to get through, unless it gets fried. Now when we get the Jade Bearer, we can put a counter on it, so it can do 2 damage each turn. Now we can equip the Prime Blade. So next turn when we cast the Oracle, and then swing in with our unblockable creature, we'll be doing 3 damage, we'll be generating a treasure token, and we'll be drawing a card. That's pretty good value. That's a result for us. Kabbalah will be helpful to us, because I'm pretty sure our opponent will have red removal. So we are going to get our triggers here. Going to get to draw a card. Going to click Always Yield, because we're going to hopefully do this loads of times. So just needing to click OK all the time. And the card that we drew is Water Knot. So if our opponent does get a creature that's going to be in a position to attack us, we can tap it down with Water Knot, or we can remove it with Hunt the Weak. So I'd say now we're in a fairly solid position. Safety first and get out Kapala. So if our opponent is going to cast things like Mutiny, it's going to cost them 2 more. And our opponent just scoops it up. Okay, so I'll chop up the video here, and then we'll come back in the next video, and we'll see match 2. Until then, take it easy. Good luck in your games of Magic, and I'll see you very soon.